Hello and welcome, it's Barbara from Vienna, Austria, and today we're going to be working on 3 different styles of collages. What you see here is my journal from last year. Here you see the junk journal January from Mia Vibes and Meg Journals that I was following last January. And why I'm having this journal out is because sometimes when you need inspiration, it's good to go back to your older journals if you have some. Otherwise, feel free to get inspiration from my journals if you don't have any of your own yet. So I was looking at what did I enjoy creating in these journals and what do I like looking at going back through them. And so what stuck out to me were these collages that I made. And what these collages all have in common is I used these animal cutouts from an animal encyclopedia, which I found at my secondhand store. And I will be showing you that in a little bit. And so I thought these were actually so much fun to do, so why don't I do another one in this style? So you see I tried different color combinations. A lot of these have postage stamps in the background as well as other designer papers, but they all have color themes, as you can see. So this is the encyclopedia that I have been cutting out my images. So these are photos of animals. Maybe you can find something like this at your Goodwill or at a flea market. If not, you don't have to use animals, you can use other things. I have 2 more collages coming up with different items, so if this is not for you, then maybe one of the 2 other ones will speak more to you. So you've seen I've already cut out so many images and I chose some here that I had already cut out previously, which are kind of in a similar color range as you see here on the right. And you see I have this turquoise kind of background and these animals really stand out nicely. So this time I'm going to be working in my traveler's notebook insert, the one that I covered with my beautiful Japanese paper from the Japanese Ahsan Studio, Sora Ahsan Studio bento box. I will leave that video down below if you want to see these beautiful Japanese papers. And so this is the insert I use for writing down which links I need to add to my YouTube videos. And it's nice to have it a little bit broken up to have a few creative pages in between because I just really enjoy that look. And so I'm starting off by placing my focal points. I really like, I don't know why I didn't do this in the end. I really love the composition of these 3 turtles on top of each other. But for some reason, I decided to split them up, which is really a pity, but it's all right. Not the end of the world, right? So what I'm doing here is I'm trying to find placements for all of these animals randomly, just so that I could fit as many as possible on this page. So it's kind of, again, a bit like trying to put together a puzzle, which I think is always fun. I should have left it how I had it originally. But in hindsight, it's easy to say that. Alright, once I had decided on the placement, I cut down these 2 images that were going to go off the page. And now for the background, I'm choosing some postage stamps. So this is my postage stamp collections, which is in a postage stamp book that I have gotten from the flea market. And I am choosing postage stamps that are blue. And I'm mostly trying to pick the ones that I have multiple ones of, because I like hoarding my postage stamps. I have a hard time giving single ones away, but I didn't have enough, so I did have to use my single ones as well. So these were a bunch of older Austrian stamps. And I'm trying to go for also a little bit different shades of blue. I didn't want them all to be the same. That was a German one, I believe. These are also German with a lighthouse. Couldn't use any of the flowers except this one, which I had double. The flowers, I just can't. I love them so much. But I'm proud of myself. Look, I did use this one, which is Beauty. There's a bug one here. There's a fish. Pretty creepy looking fish with sharp teeth. Love the turquoise on that one. I think that's a Greek one. And for some reason, I always enjoy having some heads in my collages. I think they look really nice. And I believe this is the final one. No, I lied. There's one more. Oh, no. There's another whole set here that I'm going to take. All right, that is it. So now I am trying to strategically place the stamps in between the animal cutouts, which proves to be quite challenging because everything moves around a lot and I get quite frustrated at this. But I pull through, don't give up. I had a mission. I'm also trying to make sure that the different kinds of blues are spread out fairly evenly throughout the collage. And once I had all these in there, I decided it's too cluttered and I didn't want to have that much distraction in the background. So I decided to take almost about half of those out again, and instead I wanted to replace it with some blue washies. So the 4 that you see here on the left are from a set with some others. I think there's 10 in a set. They are from Ali, and if they still have them, I will link them below. The one on the right, I will try to find a link. It's a store in Germany, so I'll see if I can link those for you. But if you're gonna get that set from Ali, I want you to be aware that the rolls are very thin. So there's maybe I want to say 2 meters. I don't know where I'm getting that from. But there's not a whole lot on a roll. Maybe you saw it, they're thin. So they're more like samples almost. Okay, they're a little more than samples, but if you order them, please be aware that they are not full rolls. So now I'm really having a hard time putting this washi underneath everything because there's so many small bits that are just going everywhere and it's really annoying. So I was happy when that part was done. And here also I'm alternating the washi so that I have different colors in different areas. And I just made sure that every white piece of paper was covered up either with a stamp or a washi. Okay, finally I'm gluing on the last animal, that little turtle there. And now I'm going to trim off any excess from the edges. And there's a final collage, and I must say I'm not really happy with it because, as you can see, the contrast isn't great of the background and the animals, so they are not that, I mean, you can't see them that well. And if you compare it with my previous collage, you see the one on the left works a lot better because the background is a much lighter background, and so you can see the animals a lot better. So this was a great exercise for me. I'm glad I tried a new color combination. Now I know it doesn't work as well, so please learn from my mistakes. You can make your own mistakes. You don't have to make the same ones I make. But this style of collaging is quite fun, and it's something to do. Like I would make collages when I don't feel like writing a lot or anything, or when I don't have any other motivation to do anything else or no other inspiration. Collaging is always something I enjoy going back to, and I enjoy practicing as well. Next, I'm moving into my current junk journal, and I'm going to use this little collage that I have made with you in a separate video, which I will link below. So this is a scanned copy of my original collage, which I can use in so many different ways. And here I am tearing it up to make it into my focal point for this next collage. So I'm going to use this black and red butterfly. He's going to be the centerpiece of this collage, and by coincidence this page had a butterfly already on it on the bottom. I didn't see that until I had chosen this centerpiece, so that was quite cool. And now I'm inking the edges with my vintage photo distress oxide, and I need to choose I need to choose some more papers for layering underneath. So that's what I'm doing. I'm going through my ephemera folder. I do have a video on that as well, how I made that. I can link that down below for you as well. And so now I'm picking pieces that would kind of fall in a similar color scheme. And I do have some like trial and error here because some pieces just simply don't work no matter where I place them. You know, there are days where everything just works immediately, and there are days that nothing works. or everything comes together a lot harder. And that day I felt like everything was a little more difficult to do. For some reason, things just weren't coming together as naturally as they sometimes do. But I was not willing to give up. It took a lot longer than I thought, but in the end, I do like the result of this particular collage. And so I'm happy I didn't give up on it. I just kept moving pieces around and choosing different pieces. And in the end, it just kind of worked out finally. I do love this poison label, but it just wouldn't work in this collage. I did end up using this piece that is from a sewing pattern. This is a Rolodex card that I have coffee dyed. It just adds another beautiful layer. Then I have the stamp of this beautiful key. I have a stamp set which I got at a craft fair locally, so unfortunately I'm not able to link this particular one. I did kind of like having it there, but I wasn't sure about the placement. And it was also a piece that I usually probably wouldn't use in a collage like this, so all the more interesting for me to find a way to use it. And then I just cut it down because that bottom of the key was just too big for this collage. I didn't want it to overlap the butterfly too much. So now I've glued everything down, but we are not done. I thought it still needed a little more color. So this is another piece from that same butterfly collage that we used the focal point from, and I decided to use 2 of the other bits as well. So I'm going to cut out the number 54 as well, and yeah, first I'm cutting that down and then I'm using the number 54. So now you see you have these red numbers, and as I always say, I like things in a triangle in my collages, so those now formed a nice triangle. Now I wanted to add the words, "The struggle is real," and I'm using this beautiful grid washi, which I will link below. It's from AliExpress. And I used my 12-digit rollable rubber stamp, which I will link as well. And so now I'm going, just to give it a little more of a pop on the page, or to make the words pop a little more on the page, I am adhering them to some more washi tape. I do not remember where I got this one from, so I'm not able to link that one. I do apologize. So this will make these words really stick out. And that is our final second collage. And then the next morning, first I added a date, so it was February 25th. All right, moving on to the next morning, I had another idea. I have these beautiful, beautiful labels, which were in my Sora Ahsan stationery bento box, which, as I mentioned, is linked below, the video for that. And I wanted to hoard some of these in my current journal. So I thought I would make a little collage on a journal page with these labels. And then what I wanted to do was I wanted to add some phrases or some quotes onto these labels with a new toy that I had just gotten the day before, yesterday actually. which is an old typewriter. So I had finally gotten one. I've been having my I was on the lookout for one of these older typewriters for a long time, but I never had the courage to buy one like a used one from like an online, what do you call them, like Craigslist, you know, something like where you can buy used stuff, because or even from a flea market, because I never knew if it wouldn't work, or if it wouldn't type anymore. What do I do with it? Where could I get it fixed, and how much would it cost? So my brother recently came across one, and I was able to get that, and I was so happy, and it's kind of still working. You'll see it in a little bit. So I took a page out of my junk journal, and now I'm going to try to arrange these labels in a way that the biggest amount would fit on that page. Yeah, so those are the ones I decided to stick with. So now I'm adhering all of these with just my glue stick. And sometimes I get asked which glue stick I use. I usually use the cheapest one I can find, and usually for me that is from the Dutch chain Hema, which we have here in Europe and in several countries. And they are really cheap, and they are the best that I have come across so far. I'm so happy with those. And this here is a little booklet which I have named my commonplace book. I made it last year sometime, and this is the place where I keep mostly quotes that I enjoy and that you see it's not very full yet, that are good to have handy for several occasions. For example, like this now, I don't have to search in the internet for a long time. I have my favorite quotes there. So this is my old new typewriter, and I put the page through it, and I probably should have practiced a little more before, because being used to a computer keyboard, this was quite challenging, because we are not used to pushing down so hard on the individual keys, and the ribbon wasn't working that well either. So it was really challenging for me to type, and I also didn't know exactly where it would type. So the whole experience was very interesting, and it's very fun to think that I probably learned on very similar typewriter in school. And it was a really, really nice experience to type this, although of course it's not as nice as if you would stamp it or if you would write it with a computer, but I think that's the beauty of it. For a journal like this, you don't want it to be perfect. You don't want every letter to be printed perfectly, and they don't need to align perfectly either. Here the machine got stuck, which I didn't realize until I had already typed a few letters, but I decided to just go with it, and I just carried on. And so this page has a lot of imperfections, but I still like it, because this is the first time I've used this new old typewriter. And so the quotes I am typing here, so the first one was, be someone's strength, be someone's inspiration, be someone's reason to never give up. Then I had what you just saw, I didn't come this far to only come this far. Really like that one as well. I like them all of the ones that I wrote here. Then the one I'm typing right now says, our days are happier when we give people a bit of our heart rather than a piece of our mind. So true, so very, very true. And lastly, the fourth one I'm writing is, become more aware of what's worth your energy. And I think the older we get, the more relevant that quote gets. And it's nice to be reminded of this from time to time as well. So while this collage of the three is probably the least pretty, I am still so happy to have it in my journal because I know it's the first time I use this machine, and I love hoarding the labels in this journal, so it's definitely a page worth having. So try your own collages, see what you can come up with. Just be creative and use what you have, and you will probably be surprised what you're able to do. Thanks so much. Please don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe if you haven't done so, if you would like to see more and enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.